This is Christopher Smith, and I'm conducting an oral history interview with Caroline Shine. And the interview is being conducted at Hooper Academy in Sanford, Florida on Saturday, October 15th, 2022. Caroline Shine, thank you for speaking with us today. Please could you tell us your name and where you came from?
Okay. I'm the Reverend Dr. Caroline Shine, and I currently live in Deltona, Florida. But I grew up here in Georgetown. Most of my elementary school days, and I attended church here in Georgetown at St. James Anglican Church.
What was it like growing up in Georgetown?
Well, I can remember back to being a very small girl here with my family. We were, I wouldn't say poor, but we were not amassed with wealth. So we lived in a wooden house. It was one of these houses where the front door, you open the front door, you could see all the way through the back door, and the back door was open. It was very comfortable for us as children. But we had outdoor bathroom facilities at that time. We had wood stoves where we had to bring wood in and use it to fuel the stove. We had irons that we used to put on the stove to warm it up and iron our clothes with. We washed clothes in big tubs in the back of the house. So it was very much unlike it is today. It wasn't as modern as it is today, but we were a family. We enjoyed being together. And I can remember coming to Hopper Elementary. Right now, we're in the old Hopper building. But when I went to school, it was a brand new building called Hopper Elementary. And we had our teachers were teachers that we knew in the community. I remember my first grade teacher was Miss Shepherd, and my second grade teacher was Miss Bryant, and my third grade teacher was Miss Young. One of the good things about it back then, most of the teachers were part of your church. So when we leave school, we probably saw our teachers in church in the afternoon, or saw them on Sunday, and they could reinforce whatever they told us when we were in school with them. So growing up in Georgetown, we were pretty much, every family knew each other. And so we would visit each other and talk to each other, raise each other kids. Parents knew your children, they knew their children, and they knew their neighbors' children at that time.
You mentioned going to church in Georgetown. What was that like going Sunday morning?
Okay, well, I attended St. James Anglican Church. It's still here, 819 Cypress Avenue. I remember then most of the kids walked to church. And it was so funny when we walked to church, our parents would tie our offering money up in a handkerchief. And we, of course, passed by stores headed towards church, but we couldn't untie the handkerchief to use the money. So the parents did that on purpose. But we'd come to church, and we'll have morning Sunday school, worship service. Sometimes we had other activities after the morning worship. We had night services. So we really spent most of our Sunday in church. And as I said, a lot of our teachers were there. They participated in the service. Our ministers were very much in tune to what was going on with the kids. And I really think that a lot of my training, my early training, came from those teachers teaching us things like etiquette, things like what you should do and not do when you're going outside, don't talk to strangers, all those kind of things we learned in school and in the church. The church was sort of a sub-school.
We have evidence in the Sanford Museum of parades and celebrations throughout the town. Do you remember any of those?
Well, I remember Christmas most of all. On Christmas, a lot of the kids would get bicycles and skates. And we would all congregate on Locust Avenue. And back then, it may not be a safe thing to do, but we would put our hands on the car. And as the car was driving, we would be behind the cars on the skates and riding on the bicycles. So we sort of had our own parades in Georgetown. And Christmas was very special. Everybody was outside. You knew it was Christmas. No matter how cold it was, we were all outside playing together.
What were your siblings like? What were your playmates like? How was your family growing up in Georgetown?
Well, I had I grew up with two brothers and one sister, and I was the youngest of the family, and so I guess I got most of the things that they wish they had gotten when they were older, being the baby of the family. So some of the things that we used to walk downtown, we had to walk downtown, so they had to take me everywhere they went, being the baby of the family. But family was very close at that time, and we pretty much knew the sisters and brothers of other families that lived around us. So I can say that family life is very important in Georgetown. Family and church and school was very important.
Do you remember any of the stores that were around? And do you have any particular memories if you do?
Yes, I do have two stores. One store was called Smiley, and we would walk down to Mr. Smiley's store, and he would have these jumbo cookies in these big jars. I think you can get 2 for a penny, and all of the other things that the grown family wanted, they would go there. But the children loved that because he would have the candy behind the glass, and we got to pick out what type of candies we wanted. And also there was another store called Robert's Store, and that store was on the way to church, right? So we had to sort of steer clear of that until we got out of church. And then the money that our parents had given us to spend, when we left church, we headed for Mr. Robert's store on the way home. But that was a lot of fun. So I do remember those two stores. I also remember the doctor's offices. Dr. Stark, he was the neighborhood doctor. His office was on Sanford Avenue. And I also remember Dr. Ringland. He was the dentist, the neighborhood dentist. We all knew the doctor, and we all knew the dentist. So I remember those in particular.
How did living in Georgetown prepare you for adulthood?
Well, it really showed me things about being leadership, especially in the church. We learned how to organize, learn how to lead programs, how to call people together. And I recall in our church, in St. James, very big church at that time, sometimes we would come and there was standing room only because everybody wanted to go to that church. But on Wednesdays, we had what they call YPD meeting, Young People Division, the Women's Missionary Society. So they taught us how to conduct meetings, how to speak, a lot of things that we just didn't get at school and may not have gotten at home, we got it from the church. So it made me want to go to school, enjoy school. I'm one of those ones that enjoy school. So, so I like going to school. So it prepared me to go to college. So I did go to University of Central Florida, and I graduated from the College of Engineering there back in 1886. And I think going to Georgetown and St. James helped prepare me to go into fields that were not so open to women at that time. So it gave me pretty much self-esteem to know that I could do that. Also, the teachings from the church helped me with my calling to the ministry, because I am a minister. And so I went from there. I worked and also raised my family and went to school. And so I eventually went to Asbury Seminary and eventually to Emory University, where I got my doctorate in biblical interpretation and proclamation. And I can pretty much say that yes, my formative years impacted by the people of Georgetown, and they're pouring into me regardless of where I came from. And I think that was one of the good things about Georgetown and the teachers there. It didn't matter where you came from, who your parents were. If they had an interest in you, they poured into you. And I could say that they poured into me because we were not one of the families that were, whose name came up first. But yet and still they worked with me, and because of them, that I was able to move forward in my education process and also in my ministerial process. When I left St. James and started a church in Deltona, the members of St. James came over and helped me out. I can remember the musician over there, her name was Sylvia Stolberg. She came over and she helped with the music. And there's just so many people that came out of St. James. Murray Brown helped me learn how to play music a little bit. And then we had the Wilson family, good teaching. One of the principals of Hopper used to be a member of our church, he and his wife. So there are so many people in the community that poured into not only my life, but children all around the neighborhood. And I think that strengthened all of us.
Coming back to your childhood, do you have any, before everything became developed, do you have any memories of the wildlife, of like the natural elements to living in Georgetown when you were a child?
I can remember the roads were dirt roads, most of them, and we had the ditches, the trenches on the side of the road to carry the water. Like I said, where we live, it was an outside facility. It's been that long, I'm sort of getting my age right away. But my father loved wildlife, right? And he liked to the gopher tortoise. There was plenty of them around, and the rabbits. You know, I had pet the rabbits, and the dogs and cats that everybody else has. But as far as being the wildlife as we know it today, looking for some of the things like deer, I don't remember seeing that. We used to travel, they had woods around, outside of Georgetown, and we would see those type of animals in the wooded areas on the outskirts of Georgetown.
What is it that you do nowadays?
Nowadays I retired in 2016 from the Department of Environmental Protection. I worked there, retired after 33 years. I worked in the air program, and I was eventually the air program administrator there, and I also worked in the drinking water section there.
So, and I was ministering at the same time. So after retirement, now I am ministering, pastoring the church, Greater Faith AME Church in Deltona, Florida. I also am president of a women's group called the National Council of People and Women for the West Volusia and Seminole section. I also work as a religious affair leaders for the NAACP, and I just recently had a new position when I work on a team of the National Preservation Trust Committee. It's a national organization. I just came to get on that. We're looking at restoring historical places and finding grant monies and things to trying to restore those places. So that's the newest part. And other than that, I'm just enjoying being retired and I'm enjoying my family and enjoying travel and just enjoying meeting people and helping people in whatever way I can do.
Is there anything that we left out that you'd like to share with us before we conclude?
No, I think that if I were to just sort of sum up my experiences living here in Georgetown, I would say that I'm glad to gone through different levels of life and to have met the people I've met through that time. We're still friends, we see each other, we're still friends. And I think that village, when they said it takes a village to raise a child, I say Georgetown is that village that has raised many children that you see today. Thank you.
All right. Caroline Shine, thank you again for sharing your time and speaking with us. This has been Christopher Smith at Hopper Academy on October 15th, 2022.